I buried 50 of my friends with my bare hands. Dr. James Mitchell said it so quietly that Marcus Chun, the pharmaceutical CEO, almost didn't hear him. They were in Marcus's gleaming biotech facility, surrounded by million-dollar automated drug manufacturing equipment, and Marcus had just finished explaining how modern medicine can solve any disease. It's just a matter of having the right drugs and technology. He'd invited Dr. Mitchell, 92 years old, retired military doctor, as a historical perspective on how farm medicine had advanced. When Marcus asked about his most challenging medical situation, expecting stories about field hospitals in Europe, Dr. Mitchell said, Burma Railway, 1943 to 1945, Japanese POW camp. I was a 25-year-old British Army medic, captured at Singapore, and over 2 years, I watched 50 of my friends die. Dysentery, cholera, malaria, beriberi, tropical ulcers, beatings. Marcus frowned. But surely you had medical supplies. Nothing, Dr. Mitchell interrupted softly. No antibiotics. No painkillers. No bandages. The Japanese gave us nothing. Rice and water. Sometimes not even that. And when men got sick, and they all got sick eventually, all I could do was hold their hand and watch them die. He looked at Marcus. And then I had to bury them. With my hands. Because we had no shovels. Just hands. Digging graves in jungle clay. 50 graves. 50 friends. Their names are carved in my memory. Dr. Mitchell's hands were trembling. And you stand here, Mr. Chun, saying modern drugs can solve everything. But in Burma, I didn't have even aspirin. And 50 men died, right in front of me, from completely preventable diseases. In the corner, a young medical journalist, Dr. Sarah Park, 34, medical technology specialist, had frozen. She'd never heard Dr. Mitchell's story before. But now she was listening. So was Marcus. For the first time, the limitations of the pharmaceutical system were becoming real. 50, Marcus asked quietly. In 2 years. In 2 years, Dr. Mitchell confirmed. 104 weeks. And every week, at least one man died. Sometimes 2. Sometimes 3. And I could do nothing. The Burma-Siam Railway, Dr. Mitchell began, eyes distant, was built by the Japanese in 1943, 258 miles, from Burma to Thailand, to transport troops and supplies. Dr. Mitchell looked at Sarah, but there were no workers, so the Japanese used prisoners. 60,000 Allied POWs, 200,000 Asian civilian laborers, and they worked us like slaves. 18 hours a day, in tropical jungle, 104-degree heat, monsoon season, and disease, Dr. Mitchell continued. Disease was everywhere. Dysentery, cholera, malaria, beriberi, vitamin deficiency, tropical ulcers, infected legs. And I was just a medic, not a doctor, but I was the only medical personnel in our camp. Marcus leaned forward. You had no medicine at all. Dr. Mitchell shook his head. For the first 6 months, nothing. The Japanese wouldn't give us any. Red Cross packages weren't coming. The Japanese blocked them. So I worked with leaves, roots, anything. Sarah asked, who was your first loss? Dr. Mitchell closed his eyes, remembering. Private Tommy Henderson, 21 years old. From Manchester, July 1943. 2 weeks after I arrived at our camp. Dr. Mitchell opened his eyes. Tommy got dysentery. From contaminated water. And I just watched. Because there was no medicine. No antibiotics. Just water. And Tommy died within 4 days. For days, Dr. Mitchell cried. And I was with him every day, held his hand, wiped the sweat from his forehead. And on the 4th day, he died. 21 years old. 6,000 miles from home. In a filthy bamboo hut. Dr. Mitchell's voice broke. And the Japanese said, bury him. Fast. Because disease spreads. So me and 2 friends, we dug a grave with our hands. No shovel. Just hands. Tropical clay. Hard. And 2 hours later, Tommy was buried. Marcus approached, offered water to Dr. Mitchell. How many more? Dr. Mitchell took a deep breath. 49. After Tommy. Over 2 years. The second, Dr. Mitchell began, Corporal James Wright. 28 years old. Cholera. August 1943. 3 days. He died from dehydration. Because we had no fluids. Just dirty water. And I tried to keep him hydrated. But it wasn't enough. 3rd, 4th, 5th, Dr. Mitchell continued. September 1943. Malaria outbreak. No quinine. 3 men in 1 week. Fever, chills, delirium. And I just sat with them. Watched them die. Sarah asked, "Did the Japanese ever help?" Dr. Mitchell's face darkened. No, the Japanese didn't see us as human. Just workers, slaves, and sick men couldn't work. So the Japanese beat sick men, forced them to work. Dr. Mitchell described the worst case. December 1944. Cholera outbreak. 18 men, Dr. Mitchell said, in 1 month. Cholera, the fastest killer. Healthy in the morning, dead by evening. Dehydration, 10% body weight loss and fluids. Within hours. And Dr. Mitchell trembled. I could do nothing. No IVs. No electrolytes. Just water. Dirty water. We boiled it, but it wasn't enough. Dr. Mitchell closed his eyes. Private David Cooper. 19 years old. The youngest. He got cholera. And I was with him. 8 hours. He cried. He said, "I want to go home. I want to see my mother." And I lied. I said soon. You'll go home soon. And Dr. Mitchell cried. He died in my arms. 19 years old. Never saw his mother. Never went home. Just died. In a filthy camp. In tropical jungle. No one in the room was speaking. Marcus had tears in his eyes. And the graves, Dr. Mitchell continued, voice raspy. Every grave was dug with my hands. Because we had no shovels. Or we did, but the Japanese wouldn't give them. So me and other prisoners, we dug with our hands. Dr. Mitchell showed his hands. Old, wrinkled, but scars were still visible. You see? Scars on my fingers. 79 years later. Because the clay tore my fingers. Bleeding. Infection. And I kept digging. Because my friends deserved a proper grave. Sarah asked, "You dug graves for all of them?" Dr. Mitchell nodded. Every one. 50 graves. Some deep. Some shallow. The clay was too hard. But every friend had their own grave. Name carved on bamboo. Date. Unit. Because, Dr. Mitchell's voice broke, they shouldn't be forgotten. The Japanese saw us as numbers. But we were human. People with names. With families. With dreams. And when they died, someone needed to remember. Marcus knelt, hugged Dr. Mitchell. You're a hero. No, Dr. Mitchell shook his head. I'm a survivor. And 50 friends, they're the heroes. Because they died. And I lived. Why? Why did I survive and Tommy died? Why am I here and David isn't? Dr. Mitchell cried. For 79 years. I've asked this question. Every day. And there's no answer. Just survivor's guilt. And their names. 50 names. All in my memory. Sarah asked. Could modern medicine have helped? Dr. Mitchell thought. Yes. Antibiotics. Dysentery. Cholera solved. For fluids. Dehydration treated. Quinine. Malaria controlled. Vitamins. Beriberi prevented. He looked at Marcus. Mr. Chun, your drugs are impressive. But in Burma, all I needed were basic medicines. Aspirin. Antibiotics. Fluids. Simple things. And they weren't there. Because the Japanese wouldn't give them. So modern medicine, Dr. Mitchell continued, isn't just a technology problem. It's a humanity problem. The Japanese could have helped us. But they didn't. Because they didn't see us as human. The following month, Marcus announced a new program. Essential Medicine Initiative. He would send basic medicines to developing countries and crisis zones. Antibiotics, painkillers, fluids. Marcus gave a speech. Dr. Mitchell taught me 3 things, he said. First, technology is only part of the solution. Humanity is the other part. Second, basic medicines save lives, not expensive treatments. Third, medical personnel never forget, even 79 years later. Dr. James Mitchell passed away 2 years later, at 94, at home. Beside an old notebook, 50 names written, in handwriting. The funeral was held at the Burma Railway Memorial. Thousands came. Marcus too. And POW survivors, 6 of them, in their 90s, all proud. A new monument was erected. Dr. James Mitchell and the 1922 to 2026 Burma Railway POW Camp 1943 to 1945 buried 50 friends with bare hands. No medicine, no equipment, just love. They will never be forgotten. Now it's your turn. This story of Dr. James Mitchell reminds us that medicine isn't just about technology, it's about humanity. In an age where we can cure diseases with pills and perform surgery with robots, we've forgotten that sometimes the most important medicine is simply being there, holding someone's hand, and making sure they're not forgotten. What sacrifice have you witnessed? Maybe it's someone who stayed with a sick relative for months. Someone who worked without recognition to help others. Someone who remembered names when everyone else saw numbers. Sacrifice isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just showing up, day after day, even when there's nothing you can do except care. Tell us in the comments below. Share the stories of quiet heroes you've known. Let's honor the people who proved that humanity matters more than technology. And if this story moved you, hit that like button to honor Dr. Mitchell and the 50 friends he buried with his own hands. Subscribe to Echoes of Valor for more untold stories from the darkest corners of war. Share this with someone who needs to remember that the best medicine is compassion. Tomorrow, we have another story from a place history tried to forget. One that will remind you that survival isn't always victory. Sometimes it's just carrying the weight of those who didn't make it. Until then, remember Dr. Mitchell's words. They weren't numbers. They were people with names. And someone needed to remember them. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering. And thank you for honoring the 50 men who died far from home, but were never forgotten by the medic who dug their graves with his own hands. We'll see you in the next story.